तस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलाम्। आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजाः पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। Are you excited or trepid or intrepid of or in trepidation of the war that is about to begin? Do you know which side will win? Of course, history says Sri Ramachandra's side won, but if you are in the scene itself, it's hard to say. We don't know who all are going to lose their lives, how this war is going to be conducted. It is not a war between human beings. There are no rules. There is no uh, rules of engagement. There is nothing that is not within the limits of what can be done. As sometimes we say, everything is fair in love and war. In this case, everything will be unfair because there are no rules. Plus, on one side are Rakshasas in millions and billions in number, and they all are trained. They have warfare as their, I guess, the blood running through their veins. They are easily excitable. They can be provoked for nothing, and they can eat their enemies also. They are equipped with fancy weapons. On the other side are Vanaras. The generals are very accomplished, but the other Vanaras necessarily are not accomplished at war. They have great trust in their leaders and they have no weapons. The only thing that's available for them are trees, rocks, and mountain peaks, their nails, their teeth, and their feet to kick with. But they have something in their hearts, this indomitable confidence in the leadership of Sri Ramachandra and Sugriva, and Lakshmana is also there. How can someone who's such a severe underdog fight a raging war with sophistication, the best of weapons, training, experience, and an urge to fight on the other side? Life also teaches us lessons that sometimes we may consider the quantity of things we have against the quantity of things that are at us. And we may find ourselves very ill equipped. But we take lessons from the Vanaras that it is not the quantity, but the quality of what we bring to that situation. And the quality they brought was a confidence in Sri Ramachandra, confidence in Lakshmana, confidence in Sugriva, confidence in the generals that they have. We are asked that in life, whatever situation we face, we enter that situation with confidence in Sita and Ramachandra and their associates and all the acharyas in the line of disciplic succession, because they have shown by their example what it takes. It doesn't take quantity of things, it takes the quality of what their heart is. And they have tremendous faith in Sri Ramachandra. And the faith in Ramachandra is not that he will take care of things and get things done for us. After all, we are the servants. But the confidence that I have a relationship with the Supreme Lord and I am under his shelter. And so, whatever comes my way, that wonderful shelter of Ramachandra gives me the position of being fearless. Therefore, the feet of Sri Ramachandra are called Abhaya Charana. Prabhupada had the name Abhay Charana Ravinda, initiated as Das but Swami. So we have these examples. And with that, the scene in Lanka is the Rakshasa army saw that Lanka was besieged by billions of monkeys. And they had crossed over the wall of that divided Lanka from its outskirts. And then they had entered that place. There is a moat with deep waters and treacherous crocodiles and other dangerous animals, aquatics that would kill anybody who entered that water. But on that space on the wall nearing the moat, there were so many monkeys that when the Rakshasas are gazing, they can't see the wall. They can only see monkeys. It seemed like the monkeys had surrounded the entire Lanka. You could not see a part of stone on that wall at all. So these Rakshasas became so upset, angry, and agitated at the tumultuous sound that was on both sides. The Rakshasas were ready and eager, and the monkeys also came by saying, "Yes, we are ready for a war." That these Rakshasas were so ready that they started jumping out of their positions to rush towards the monkeys. Some of the Rakshasas went to Ravana and broke the news that there is not 1 square inch around that border that has not been covered by the Vanara. So Ravana became so angry, came to his position and started gazing at what is happening, and he saw Sri Ramachandra. Ravana is very angry that how dare insignificant monkeys have the courage, the strength, and even the audacity to come to my palace where Indra, Varuna, I kicked out Kubera, the Gandharvas, the Yakshasas, the Kimpurushas, the Kinnaras, Nagas don't have the dare to even think of coming to Lanka. These petty monkeys and a mere human being is here. So his rage became even more and more, and so got so upset. But he saw on the other side Ramachandra, who seemed delighted at the opportunity of being there because he has crossed so many hurdles and the prospect of meeting Sita Devi is not far away. Raghavaha Sahasainena Mudito Nama Pupluve. Mudito. He was just delighted to be there. Lanka Dadarsha Guptam Vai Sarvato Rakshasair Avritam. Ramachandra also saw, wow, this Lanka is filled with Rakshasas. And Ramachandra is gazing. what a city Lanka is. Tall buildings, beautifully constructed, lovely flags, and all sorts of arrangements, very well organized, ornate, beautiful, rich looking. And while he's seeing all of this, suddenly his heart went to Sita Devi. Jagam sahasa Sitam Duyamanena Chetasa. Duyamanena, with a great sense of sorrow. In the middle of this war that is about to begin, Ramachandra's heart has gone to Sita Devi. Now, a good juxtaposition is Ravana is inspired to fight this war because what is flowing in him is his lust. His lust is energizing him. He is gaining strength from lust. Sri Ramachandra, not speaking as the supreme personality of Godhead for a moment, but as a husband, a human being, what is energizing his heart is his love. His love for Sita Devi. And Ramachandra spoke to himself or thought to himself, in this place is my Janaki, the one whose eyes are like the eyes of a she deer or a fawn, it's called. And she's undergoing so much difficulty on my account. She's lying down on the ground, austere, waiting for me. So this is a battle between the Supreme Lord and the Jiva's mind. Hmm. The mind is inspired by desires of conquering and dominion. Ramachandra is inspired by love for the Jiva, the living entity, and he recognizes, oh, Ramachandra sees, oh, this Jiva is performing so much austerity for me. The time has come that in the middle of all this fancy arrangement called the human body, this little jiva is waiting for me. Atra sa mriga shava akshi. Mriga shava akshi. Shava means the cub or a small baby, not small, babies are always small. Baby of a deer. So it's called a fawn. Akshi, because the deer has big black eyes. Matkrute, for my reason, Janaka Atmaja, the one who's the daughter of Janaka. Pidyate, she is in so much distress. Shoka Samtapta, she is burning with the fire of sorrow, of separation from me. Krisha, she has become very emaciated, thin, and weakened. Sandalishayini, and sleeping on the bare ground. What a complete contradiction. That Lanka is the place for all sorts of enjoyment, relish, wanton indulgence. And in that, Pidyate, she's suffering. It is a place where people are always joyful because there is so much of sense gratification that is far superior to anywhere. Constant reveling, yet shokasantapta. She is sorrowful in a place of happiness. Krusha, they are eating, drinking all sorts of fine beverages, high calorific diet with butter and ghee and meat, blood, varieties of foodstuff, varieties of sweets, varieties of all sorts of things. Or the 4 types of foods with filled with the 6 types of rasas: sweet, bitter, spicy or pungent, and all the 6 rasas are full there. Yet Sita is kurusha, she's weakened, she's emaciated. Ravana's palace is a palace of sex indulgence. There are all these fancy beds and bedrooms and ornate things that are all meant to increase that desire. Uh, all sorts of fragrances, music. The mood is always of sex and sort of indulgence in very flesh related activities. And she is here, Sthandali Shayini, Sthandila Shayini. She's sleeping on the bare ground. So it really tugs on Ramachandra's heart that he's eager to go and recover Sita Devi. Thinking again of Sita Devi, Ramachandra himself feels so distressed. Although his mind is always on virtue, very quickly, because that's what's the inspiration, commanded the monkey army, let's go and completely finish off all these Rakshasas. Nipidyamana dharmatma vaidehim anuchintayan, thinking again and again and again. Kshipramagyapayat Ramo. He gave the order. Kshipram Dvishatam Vadhe. Let's quickly finish off all the Rakshasas. That's what he spoke to the Vanaras. That's all they needed. They needed the order. Let's go. And that's it. They swarmed into Lanka like nobody had ever seen. The kettle drums were going on. The monkeys were shouting war cries. The Rakshasas were returning with war cries. And these two quickly proceeded toward each other. The monkeys were shouting, let's crush Ranka. Let's crush all sorts of beings that stop us. We will pluck mountain peaks and completely squash all the Rakshasas who come anywhere near us. So they started picking up mountain peaks, massive rocks, and started rushing towards the Rakshasas. Ravana just stood gazing. Oh, I couldn't believe what was coming towards him. And what were they carrying? The monkeys, sal trees, mountain peaks, and everything looked brownish because that's the color of the monkeys. And he saw their eyes were all coppery red with anger, with this great war raging monkeys. They're coming to fight, but they're carrying trees and mountain peaks. And as they are coming towards him in thousands, millions, tens of millions, in billions. This is the Ravana's vision. As he's seeing, first he sees thousands of monkeys, then he sees millions of monkeys, and then hundreds of millions and billions of monkeys coming at his army. So to give us a progressive picture of how these Vanaras are attacking Lanka, Valmiki gives us the very same shloka. Tataha Sahasra in thousands. Koti Yuthascha, now in tens of millions and hundreds of millions. Yuthapaha, all these gathered groups of monkeys. Koti Yutha Shata Chanye, Koti Shata, thousands and thousands and billions of them. Lankam Aruruhustada, they are all scaling and climbing into every part of Lanka. Ravana was shocked. And these monkeys are loudly reciting the same words that Hanuman had previously recited. If you go back to Sundarakanda, Hanuman was constantly standing on the archway, the Torana of Lanka. Every time someone would come, he would get down, crush them, beat them, kill them, go back on the Torana, stand like this, and declare who he is. So the monkeys take him as the hero. So they are also shouting that as the war cry. Jayati Atibalo Ramo Lakshmanascha Mahabalaha Raja Jayati Sugrivo Raghavena Abhipalitaha. all glories to Sri Ramachandra, who is the mightiest king. Along with him is the very, very strong Lakshmana. May our king Sugriva be one who's victorious because he is being sheltered by Sri Ramachandra. Sugrivo Raghavena Abhipalita. When Ravana heard this and all of the defenses that Ravana had created, the walls, the moats, the gates, everything was being broken by these great warriors called Veerabahu, Subahu, Nala, Panasa, and they all took their positions on it. So the numbers of monkeys were in billions. Kumuda, who was another general, also took away control of the eastern gate. Praghasa, another mighty monkey, with his uh, troop, gave Panasa and took up the and came to assist Kumuda on the eastern gate. So Praghasa, Panasa came with Kumuda. At the southern gate, this monkey called Shatabali, hmm, who was accompanied by 20 million, 20 million or 200 million monkeys, took over the southern gate. 1 crore is 10 million. So 20 times 200 million. On the western gate, Sushena, the father of Tara, he also had hundreds of millions of monkeys. And he took over the western gate. On the northern side, where Ravana will be, which are Shuka and Sarana are there, Lakshmana, Sri Ramachandra, Sugriva, and a whole retinue of monkeys came up and took position at the northern gate. Gavaksha, whose size was so big, stood on the side of Sri Rama on one side. Dhumra, another brother of Jambavan, took up another side of Sri Ramachandra. Vibhishana also came. So we talked about this last week. So I'm warming you up for what's happening. Vibhishana also stood where Sri Ramachandra was, all on the northern gate. Now the Rakshasas heard the order from Ravana. And suddenly a massive clamor was raised, and all the Rakshasas jumped with eagerness. Ah, now we will crush the monkeys, we will eat them, we will break them, throw them here and there, and show them who they came to fight with. When the Rakshasas were blowing their bugles and other instruments that made such thundering noise. The Rakshasas were wearing jewelry. It was all dazzling. Dark limbed, but wearing such wonderful jewelry that they were all shining. They were equipped with conches and armor, and each weapon looked like flashes of lightning. And they were all roaring, and blowing their conches and saying, yeah, let's go, let's go. At this time, even the Vanaras are also shouting. So from both sides, again, Raja Jayati Sugrivo Iti Shabda Mahanabhut. They all said, we will be victorious, we will be victorious. Now, Valmiki says that this fight between the Vanaras and the Rakshasas had never been seen by anyone. And everywhere there was nothing but confusion, because once you start war and everybody is fighting with everybody else, there is no sense of orderliness. And after all, they're all Vanaras and Rakshasas, right? There is no orderliness. The whole place looked like a confused mess, like a major mess. There was so much confusion. The Vanaras were just flailing their arms and scratching and biting anything that they saw in front of them. And Valmiki says you cannot compare this war with any war in history. Saha samprahasastumulo. Samprahasastumulo. Tumula is that tumultuous sound. Mamsa Shonita Kardamaha. The entire place had become Kardama is like the dirt under the river. Dirt in a river is called Kardama, and Akardama means it's all clear. But it is mixed with Mamsa Shonita, pieces of flesh, blood everywhere. Rakshasam Vanaranam cha Sambhuva Vad Adbhutopama. There is no comparison. Everything turned red. Rivers of blood started to flow, pieces of flesh flowing and being thrown here and there. It looked like a massive mess. Everything was confusing there. And at this time, as this war is raging and raging, Ramachandra sent Angada as a messenger. Previously, he had sent Hanuman. Now, sending Hanuman again wouldn't be appropriate, or wouldn't be, because Hanuman already went. Now, Angada is given that opportunity to go and Angada already gave the message. Sorry. In this case, I'm sorry, I'm too excited. Now, Angada is going to face and fight with Indrajit. Now, Indrajit, in the entire army of Ravana, Indrajit is even stronger than Ravana. Because when Ravana had attacked Swargaloka, he had not defeated Indra. Indra, Yamaraj, Varuna, and Kubera, they all fled their places. Indrajit, who fought, actually captured Indra. That's how he got the title. Until Lord Brahma said, please let him go. So if anyone is strongest in Ravana's army, it's not Ravana, it is Indrajit. So Angada, who himself is young blood, angry young man, got so impetuous that he went and fought with Indrajit. And Valmiki says, like Lord Shiva fought with Andhaka. So I did a little research, the story. Now, I won't give you all the details, but way back when, apparently. So this is one version. And I've noticed that there are multiple versions of this story because this is a story from so long ago. At one point, Lord Shiva is sitting in a place and Parvati came and covered Lord Shiva's eyes, and she had come from the back. And Shiva couldn't recognize who it is. And Parvati's, I guess, excitement to trick Lord Shiva became so much that she started to sweat. And from her beads of sweat, somebody was born. His name was Andhaka. Because Lord Shiva was blindfolded or his eyes were covered, that person who was born was also blind. So they gave him the name Andhaka. But he became a treacherous demon because he performed such austerities and got a blessing of being uh, immortal. So Lord Brahma said, hey, nobody can get that blessing because everybody is mortal. They have to die at some point in time. So he asked Lord Brahma, okay, give me a blessing that if ever my drop of blood fell on the ground, immediately a duplicate Andhaka will be born. Considering this, because so many duplicates will be there, and for someone to die, their blood has to be shed, he became invincible. So it came to a point where the demigods had to pray to Lord Shiva, please do something. So Lord Shiva at that point created called the Ashtamatrakas, all forms of Parvati in a different way. And these Ashtamatrakas came to Lord Shiva's aid as Lord Shiva is fighting with Andhaka, and every time the blood would spill before it hit the ground, these matrikas would take it away. They would lick the blood, and this way Andhaka was killed. And that fight apparently is so famous in the universe. The comparison that Valmiki gives is like Lord Shiva fought Andhaka, Angada fought Indrajit. Sampati fought with Prajangha. Hanuman fought with Jambumali. Vibhishana, the younger brother of Ravana, fought with Shatrughna. Shatrughna is another Rakshasa on that side who is always fiery, easily provoked. Gaja fought with Tapana, Neela fought with Nikumbha, Sugriva fought with Praghasa, and Lakshmana fought with Virupaksha. Agniketu, Rashmiketu, Sutapghna, Yajnakopa, they all ambushed Sri Ramachandra. Vajramushti. Look at the names. If you want to get into the details a little bit more, let's go. Agniketu, Rashmiketu, Suptagna, and Yajnakopa. They are all, the names are that they are all against Vedic sacrifice. Yajnakopa, he gets angry as soon as someone does yajna. Suptagna, one who removes any sense of peace from anybody. And Rashmiketu, Agniketu. So these are the ones that Ramachandra is contending with. Vajramushti, this guy's fist, the punch that he would land on someone would be like a strike of thunderbolt. So his name was Vajramushti. He fought with Mainda. And Ashani Prabha fought with Dvivida. Pratapana fought with Nala. Sushena fought with Vidyunmali. Now, each person, each side wants their own victory. And the confusion, the tumult was so intense again. Here, Valmiki says, Tatrasid sumahad yuddham tumulam romaharshanam. Just for all the monkeys and the Rakshasas, because they are excited, their hairs are standing on end. Romaharshanam. Rakshasam, Vanaram cha, Viranam, Jayamichatam. Each party is saying, all glories to us, we will be victorious, we will be victorious. And they are shouting loudly and fighting that their hair is standing on end. Even Valmiki is experiencing, we could say, as he is entering this scene of fight, even for Valmiki, it means Roma Harshanam. And hopefully for us, when we hear, although my narration is very limited, if you study those verses, the way they are written and the way they are fighting, it is meant to make our hair stand on end. Because this is Adbhuta Rasa, extremely wondrous as to how they are fighting with each other. Now, Valmiki says the way they were fighting and they were killing each other, that there was a river that was flowing. This river is not of crystal clear water, but made of blood, a fast flowing river of blood. And in a river, there are what's called duckweed. Duckweed is a very fine moss-like little things that are always in clusters flowing on a river. So this duckweed, for this river of blood, hair of the Rakshasas, the monkeys, because they're plucking at each other's hair. There are clumps of hair floating on this river of blood. And there are logs that flow on a river. The logs here are bodies of monkeys and Rakshasas. They're trying to stand on ground and fight. There is no ground. It's all for river of blood. And they're fighting in that situation. The English is wonderful. The Sanskrit is even more. Hari Rakshasa Sadehebhyah. Hari Rakshasa Sadehebhyah. Mixed with the bodies of the monkeys and the Rakshasas. Prabhutaha Kesha Shadvalaha. Shadvala, the grass that is at the bank of a river. Kesha Shadvala, the hair is flowing into it. Sharira Sanghatavahaha. All the body parts that were broken, limbs, everything. Prasushru was flowing, not just Prasushru, flowing heavily, fast. Shonita Pagaha, in the river of blood. No wonder it is Roma Harshana. They are fighting in such way that when a Rakshasa takes a gada, a mace, and hits the Vanara, the Vanaras hit back. Now, in this case, Indrajit and Angada, who are fighting with each other, Indrajit picked up a gada, a mace, and bam, hit Angada right on his chest. And this fight was like the fight that Indra has. And the way Indra would attack an enemy, that is how Indrajit, with that force, hit Angada. But Angada, after being struck so badly, forced the gada out of Indrajit's hands and struck Indrajit's chariot with such might that the entire chariot got completely smashed. The horses died, the charioteer died in one strike of Angada. On the other side, Prajagna, Sampati, they were fighting with each other, picking up trees and hitting each other. Jambumali, remember? Jambumali is fighting with Hanuman. What he did was he pierced Hanuman's chest with a javelin. You've seen javelin throw, people run and throw it into the sky and goes far. It has a pointed tip that goes into the ground. So javelins, he struck the javelin so hard that it entered Hanuman's chest. Hanuman sprung up and mounted Jambumali's chariot. And in no time, in a moment of seconds, finished Jambumali with just a punch. That was Hanuman's strength. That Jambumali's chariot, everything got finished in one stroke. Now we heard that Pratapana was fighting with Nala. Now, Pratapana had hit Nala so badly that his entire arms, chest, thighs were all lacerated. They're all cut marks because Pratapana is fighting and he's very swift. What Nala did, see, he's fighting with swords and sharp weapons. Nala put his hands into Pratapana's face and completely plucked his eyeballs out. That's the kind of fight. You see that comparison. They have no weapons. So he just plucked his eyeballs out. Now Sugriva took a massive tree called Saptaparna and hit it on Praghasha's head with such strength that he died immediately. Then Lakshmana was being fought with Virupaksha. But Lakshmana, one arrow, and took care of Virupaksha. The four others, Agniketu, Rashmiketu, Suptagna, and Yagnakopa, they were shooting arrows on Ramachandra from all sides and they were hitting Sri Ramachandra. Suddenly, Ramachandra's eyes became big with Vidya Rasa and sent four arrows in such quickness that they completely cut off the heads of these four. Mahinda, with his fist, hit Vajramushti. Now, Vajramushti means the guy with a very, very strong punch or a fist. He was killed by Minda's fist. Hit him so hard that Vajramushti fell on the ground. His chariot, his horses, everything got crushed and finished off. Nikumba pierced Neela with arrows. But Nikumba, as much as he is fighting, he's sending hundreds of arrows on Neela and started laughing heartily. That Neela couldn't tolerate it anymore. So what Neela did is completely cut off Nikumba's head and the head of Nikumba's charioteer. Just the way Lord Vishnu sends a Sudarshan Chakra and removes his enemies. Now that's Mainda who crushed Vajramushti. The Dvivida here hit Ashni Prabha with a peak of mountain. Now you take a mountain peak, when you hit, it's not just one person who will die under it. Thousands of Rakshasas got crushed into a complete chutney, if you will. They were so done. Vidyunmali hit Sushena with arrows that had golden tips. And then he started roaring again and again. Seeing Vidyunmali on a chariot, Sushena also mounted on his chariot, because that's what he is, and finished off his chariot. How? By throwing a mountain peak onto the chariot and got off it. Vidyunmali somehow escaped and stood on the ground with a big mace or gada in his hand. So on this side is gada. Sushena picked up a massive rock, and looked like a mighty bull. And uh, Sushena was struck on the chest by Vidyunmali with his gada. Sushena didn't care, although he was struck really badly. Took that mighty rock and hit it on Mali's chest with such strength that that fellow spit blood and died immediately. So Vidyunmali is finished. Now, this entire battlefield had such a ghastly appearance. Everywhere were spears, javelins, arrows, broken bows. Chariots were shattered, horses were killed, elephants were killed, monkey bodies were there, Rakshasas' bodies were there. Some had only hands, some didn't have hands, some heads were not there. Everything was so much in a mayhem that jackals and others were coming to pluck and take away those bodies so they could eat. And in this confused fight, everybody was just running here and there, shouting like anything. The whole thing was such a complete mixture of mayhem. Now, while the Rakshasas are being plundered, one may think, oh, the Vanaras are going to be victorious. But the Rakshasas and the Vanaras both were waiting for sunset. Because the Vanaras were thinking, if the sun sets, this war will pause for a while. We can take a breath. We've been fighting non-stop. And the Rakshasas were thinking, let's just wait for a sunset, because at sunset, the Rakshasas become doubly stronger. And now they will fight in the night time. But in the daytime, it seemed like the Vanaras were winning. And now is when the Rakshasas will show their real power. And they will become even more stubborn and excited and energized to fight one more time. That's where we're going to pause until we meet again to see how the war is going. This will become even more intricate, even more confusing, even more delirious as they're fighting with each other. Any thoughts, questions, comments, reflection? I don't know what reflection you might have, but if you have, I'm happy to hear. I thought so. Silence.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Oh, Shamakund, 1 second. I have to put this on to hear your question.
Two things, Prabhu, here.
Can
In
you
the
speak?
beginning of the
Hear you?
Yes, I'm speaking now. Are you able to hear, Prabhu?
I can hear you now.
The beginning, as as Lord Ramachandra was about to enter Lanka,
Hmm.
you mentioned that Rama was delighted at the opportunity of the war because he is a prospect of meeting Sita.
Hmm.
And Ravana was agitated that every nook and cranny of the Lanka that he had, of
Hmm.
course, usurped, but taken care, uh, is being invaded.
Yeah.
In our own lives, there are many things that we build up. And when we see it wither away, go away, being taken away, either lawfully, unlawfully, unjust, or whatever way it is, we do have this similar sense like what Ravana is having. Of course, on one sense, at one side, we can say we can let go of the field of aham and mama. But the aspect of that I have put so much effort, and here is somebody, an upstart, like how Ramachandra would be thought of in the mind of Ravana. An upstart is just coming and taking things away. Unless and until we have an alternate means that, okay, let me be duly engaged in something else, we tend to hold on to it. What to do in such circumstances? This is the first one. Then I relate this.
So we go back to the story of the Kakasura Vrittanta, the story that Sita Devi narrated to Hanuman to remind Sri Ramachandra that yes, Hanuman has met me, but more importantly, there's a hidden message to Sri Ramachandra. And the story goes this way, that when Sita Devi, her clothes are wet, she has come out of the river. They've been frolicking. She and Ramachandra have been frolicking for a long time. Both are tired. And this crow comes to pull at her dress and bother her. And Ramachandra is sitting right there, but Sita holds on to her clothes and tries to shoo the crow away, but he won't go. He still keeps tugging and pulling and irritating. So as she is holding on to her clothes and shooing this crow, throwing some dirt on him, but he won't go, her dress is beginning to slip. And Sri Ramachandra laughs. She says to Hanuman, Prahasita. Although she's talking to Ramachandra, uh, as while she's conveying it to Hanuman, because for her, she's imagining that Ramachandra is there. And she says, Tvaya Prahasita. You started laughing. And this Prahasita is a laugh of teasing. She became, at that point, abashed, shy, or embarrassed, and went and sat on Ramachandra's lap and put her head on him, rested her head on his shoulder. At that time, the crow goes away. So the acharyas explain that the laughter of Ramachandra is that, oh, you think you can manage all your problems on your own. But your real place is to come take my shelter. So the sooner one is awakened to that realization, the less there is agitation. The same principle is in Draupadi's case. As long as Dushashana, the nasty crow-like fellow, is pulling on her clothes, she's holding on. And the illogical behavior is that as he's pulling, he has strength of 10,000 or 1,000 elephants. She holds the sari between her teeth as if that can hold. And at some point she says, "Hey Krishna, Dushashna can pull away my sari. I don't care at this point. Only you are my protector." It is at that point that Krishna intervened. Up until that point, there was no intervention. So yes, the sense of what does Prabhupada say? Ahara, nidra, bhayamaitulam. The sense of defensiveness to hold on to protect is but a reflex that we are used to. It's a conditioned reflex. It's there. And the process of sadhana bhakti is to remove this conditioning and put on a new conditioning. The new conditioning is that, hey, Ramachandra, hey, Krishna, please, please come to my rescue. Same narration. Gajendra is being pulled into the ocean. He's fighting for 1,000 years. And then the realization awakens. What am I doing? What am I doing? He gives up that fight and raises his trunk, plucks a lotus flower and says, "That Supreme, please come to my rescue." So all these say the same, teach us the same, that the tendency to hold on, to grab, to think that, yes, by my holding on, things will become better, or I is fallacious. Some people say, so should I not do anything? In the sense of Sharanagati, the answer is yes, don't do anything. But that's such a high state. So we say, we at least from a practice, we go to the Supreme Lord and say, "You are my protector. Please, as this, whatever is coming to me, my orientation is towards your lotus feet. That you have confidence." I started the talk today with confidence in Sri Ram. Avasya rakshishe, avasya rakshibe, iti vishwasa. That's required. Until that, otherwise the fight is very inequitable. The other side can be very strong because they may take shelter of, you said, illegal means, illicit means. It could be anything. We may not, or anyone may not decide to go, "Oh, you give me an illegal punch, I'll give you an illegal punch back." Doesn't work like that. So unless we come to that realization, up until that time, the problems will continue pecking at us and biting at us. Or a Dushashna will disrobe us, or a crocodile will pull us inside. Crocodile is called Graha. Once he holds, he doesn't leave. Dushashana, very difficult to be disciplined. Shasana, Dushashana. And here is a cock, a crow, sin, disturbances. What do you say, Shamakut, to you?
Thank
Agreeable
you.
to you?
Thank you. Yeah, it much relatable, and it sort of covered my other question I had in mind, which is the indomitable confidence in the leadership of
Mm.
Lord Ramchandra, which the monkeys had. One question in my mind was, how do we come to that stage? And circumstances like these help us. So this is actually taking me to the next step. On one hand, we have our daily activities of chanting, or even say being regulated, doing things that we have desire to do for the Supreme Lord. These, there are challenges in doing it, and our dependence on the Supreme Lord gives us the confidence. But they do wither away over a period of time. So is it that the art of getting confidence in the Supreme Lord? That is it that there are these fine core acts of devotional service like chanting, etc. But we need to supplement it with other services which really push us. And the purpose of these services is to restore our confidence in the Supreme Lord and to exercise that muscle. Do we treat it that way, that we need to take challenges that way?
It's a composite. If I want to go from point A to point B, and I ask you, is it sufficient that my car has gasoline in it? Is that enough that will take me there? What's the answer?
Not just that, other things.
Necessary, but not sufficient. Yeah, the gas is needed. What else is needed? Your tires should be properly inflated with air. Oh, okay. You should have the lights working. Your horn should be working. You should have the right directions. You should know how to drive. The engine must have had oil change. The brakes must be working. So it's a composite piece. It's not just one thing, it's a composite piece. And therefore, the sadhana bhakti model that Rupa Goswami has provided, and it's been provided by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, written down by Rupa Goswami and given to us by our Srila Prabhupada and spiritual master, is a composite picture. It's not just one thing. So all other pieces also. Now we recognize certain pieces may be stronger, certain pieces may not be as strong. But the desire to go from point A to point B comes from the primary, Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Smaranam. Just last night, Hemang and I are having a long conversation on this. Smarana is so important. And this Smarana comes from good Shravanam and Kirtan. You have to hear and repeat. Now, Kirtana is, of course, japa, no doubt, but it also means repeat. The reason we say, are there any reflections? Is a way of repeating. Oh, I heard this. It becomes a point that starts to enter. So without repeating it, smarana cannot happen. People sit silently sometimes. Oh, I heard everything. You don't have to say it on this forum, but say it to somebody. Say it back to your spouse, your friend, somewhere. The more you say and repeat, the deeper it becomes. And this is the contemplation, the hearing. What did the Vanara say? Jayati Atibalo Ramo, Lakshmanascha Mahabalaha, Raja, Jayati Sugrivo, Raghavena Abhipalitaha. These are our verses that bring strength. Situation becomes difficult, whatever it is. Oh, Jayati Atibalo Ram, Apadam Apahartar. Whatever verse that gives strength. Prayers of Prahlad, Gajendra, Draupadi, whoever. They're all strength giving. They nourish the not just the conscious mind, but they nourish the subconscious. Because we all act, behave, and speak from our subconscious when things become difficult. So what's inside will come outside. So question is, what are we putting inside? And that's the practice. So back to a simpler answer. Everything is a composite piece, not one thing only.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we should end. Anything else? Anyone? Final? Going in 3, 2, 1.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is Priya Charna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, this is not related to today's, but the one that you spoke a couple of days back. I've been just thinking with so many other things that somehow aligning with that. You were mentioning like how Ravana says that that's his nature, and which means that you mentioned that he doesn't want to change, right? So somehow the last couple of weeks have been coming through a couple of Prabhupada's purports or somewhere where he says, like in Dhruva Maharaj's case, he says, uh, because of the who the parents are and who they are, uh, I think he talks about it after the continuation of Dhruva's dynasty, where he says there is a conditioning that comes who our parents are and how, what our family lineage is that brings about a particular character. So this was where I was with multiple things I was reconciling, that there is a conditioning that we are used to, but that cannot be easily broken. But I'm thinking by serving the Vaishnavas, I'm tying back to what you told in the March seminar. So that can be broken by the mercy of Guru, Krishna, and Vaishnavas. Is that a good understanding?
Yes, absolutely. And the side of our part is the intention that yes, I want to develop a higher nature. My original nature is what I want. That willingness, that intention allows for the mercy to remove the base conditioning. In this case, Ravana is getting so much mercy from Vibhishana. He's giving him message after message after message. But there's no willingness in Ravana. He says, that's my nature. But his own brother, who's also a Rakshasa, his nature is different because he has given up that conditioning of being a Rakshasa. So there's an example right in front of him. But he says, oh, my nature is such. How can you ask me to change my nature? Sometimes we jokingly call it causeless unwillingness. As there's causeless mercy, there's causeless unwillingness as well. I can't tell you why I'm unwilling. I'm just unwilling. That's the blow. It's a two-way street. Mercy and effort. Effort is we orient ourselves. We are willing for the mercy to come. We're receiving it. It's something we've been thinking about, and we spoke recently to somebody, is I know my spiritual master writes like that. I know Prabhupada wrote, I'm sure your Gurudev also writes, please accept my blessings. There, the statement is, I am offering my blessings, but unless you accept them, transformation cannot happen. So please accept my blessings. It's also not an order, accept my blessing. Please, this is good for you. So please accept my blessings. You've been following here and there, traversing the universe, not gaining anything, but now please accept my blessings. So there is the acceptance has to be there from our side. Okay, we'll end on a high note with Guru's words of please accept my blessings. So thank you very much. We will not be meeting next week. We'll be meeting the week after. So next week, I'll probably leave you in some sort of suspense. You're welcome to read further and take it from there. Do self-reading if you want. And we'll catch up again in 2 weeks. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Sikarama Lakshman Hanuman ji ki jai, Vanar Sena ki jai.